Good afternoon to all the participants. Welcome again on behalf of Atal and IT DAVV Indore. I, Tapesh Sharsodia, co-coordinator of this FDP, and wants to introduce next speaker of our FDP for the next session and today's last session of this day 4. And we have Dr. Raksha Upadhyay, ma'am, as our next speaker. So, Dr. Raksha Upadhyay, Associate Professor at Department of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering, IIT DAVV Indore. She is MTech in Digital Communication from Manit Bhopal and PhD from DAVV University in Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering. She has 23 years teaching experience for teaching at UG and PG level. She received prestigious fellowship of Indian Academy of Sciences during 2009 at IIT Madras under the supervision of Dr. Ashok Jhunjhunwala and Dr. Girdhar in 2009. She also recognized as Nokia Student Award for her paper in IEEE 21st International Conference on Advanced Information and Network Analysis in May 2007 at Canada. She also got Young Scientist Award in 2000 sorry, in engineering discipline awarded by MP Council of Science and Technology Bhopal. She has life membership of professional bodies like IET, IST, and many more. Dr. Upadhyay also visited Canada and Malaysia to present research papers. Presently, she have 6 registered students for PhD. Her research areas are telecommunication networks, wireless networks, fiber wireless networks, and she has got more than 60 research publications in various renowned journals and conferences like IEEE, Elsewhere, Springer, Hindawi publications, and all. So I welcome Madam for the lecture. So, ma'am, please. Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Tapish.
Thank you.
So once I welcome all the participants in this session, and in this session, I am going to give an overview or some research perspective on physical layer security. In this faculty development program, this is the only one lecture that is on physical layer security, and this is one of the ongoing research subject. So these are the outline of my presentation. Initially, few slides I would like discuss general things, that is the security in wireless network. Then physical layer security against eavesdropping means where this physical layer security will be applied, at which layer of OSI model the physical layer security will be applied. Then there are various physical layer security techniques. So I would like to discuss in very detail one of those techniques, that is physical layer key generation, on which we have been doing research and we have few good publications. Then I will discuss other physical layer key generation techniques. Then its open challenges, other research perspectives, its future scope and conclusion. So initially, I would like to start with very initial, with very beginning that you already know. That is, in today's world, the number of mobile subscribers have been increasing as large number of world's population is now using the internet. This we all know. It has been reported that an increasing number of wireless devices are abused for illicit cyber criminal activities, including malicious attacks, computer hacking, data forging, financial information theft, online buying, bullying, and so on. Hence, it is of utmost importance to improve wireless communication security to fight against cyber criminal activities that we are discussing in each of the session in this FDP. So initially, I would like to get into my topic by connecting it with OSI model, that is Open System Interconnection model. So wireless networks, as you already know, generally adopt OSI protocol architecture. Security threats and vulnerability associated with these protocol layers are typically protected separately at each layer to meet the security requirement, including authenticity, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So these are the four main attributes of security. So initially, I would like to discuss just in a few lines. So what is the meaning of authentication. It refers to confirming the true identity of a network node to distinguish authorized users from unauthorized users. Nodes first perform mutual authentication before establishing a communication link for data transmission. A network node is equipped with network interface card and has a unique MAC address which can be used for authentication purpose. Apart from this, different layers may have their own authentication procedures, protocols like network layer authentication, transport layer authentication, application layer authentication. When we talk about the confidentiality, so when we have discussed all the cryptographic techniques. The main concern of those technique, or the main attribute of this security that is used, all these techniques are used for, that is the confidentiality, and physical layer security technique is also used for that. So I will connect with that. So confidentiality refers to limiting the data access to intended users only, while preventing the disclosure of information to unauthorized entities. In which you already know, we simply transmit the plain text data and encrypt it from using suitable encryption methods. So there are a wide variety of encryption methods, but nowadays physical layer security has also been emerging as an effective means of protecting the confidentiality of wireless transmission against eavesdropping attack for achieving information theoretic security. So now what is information theoretic security and how it is related with physical layer and how it is related with upper layers, that I will discuss shortly. Now the next attribute can be the integrity. It guarantees the accuracy of the transmitted information without any falsification. The data integrity may be violated by so-called insider attacks, such as for node compromise attack, as we discussed in day second of Gaivaksar. A legitimate node is altered and compromised by adversary is termed as compromised node. The compromised node may inflict damage upon the data integrity by launching malicious attacks, including message injection, false reporting, data modification, and so on. And the compromised node can be repaired and revoked through so-called code recovery procedure. Now the next attribute of security is availability. It implies that authorized users are indeed capable of accessing a wireless network anywhere and anytime upon request. The violation of availability, referred to as denial of service, which result in authorized user to become unable to access the network, and an unauthorized user maliciously generate interferences for disrupting the desired communication between legitimate users, which is also known as jamming attack. Earlier, before 50 years or back, spread spectrum techniques have already been used for this purpose, and that is also one of the aspects of physical layer security. So in one line, these four are the attributes of security requirements: authenticity, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now, generally we talk about the OSI model: application layer, transport layer, network layer, MAC layer, physical layer. So when we talk about the traditional or the legacy encryption techniques, these are used between application layer and transport layer. And when we talk about the physical layer security, we do it at physical layer. So how, and there are different attacks at different layers. So just I brief up all these attacks in few slides. So these are the protocols used at different layers, but we are interested here in physical layer. You can see that when we discuss about the physical layer, when we study about the functions of the physical layer, when we discuss about the processes that takes place at physical layer, then mainly in case of digital communication and in wireless communication, it can be digital encoding, it can be encryption, it can be source encoding, it can be channel encoding, it can be modulation, it can be spread spectrum, it can be broadband modulation. So there are the multiple these physical layer techniques which are used at the physical layer. But in this lecture, you will be able to see that how can we use these techniques to achieve the security, and how achieving this security at physical layer is different from other layers, that is at higher layers. So when we discuss about the physical layer, then there are two kind of physical layer attacks. There are two kind of physical layer attacks. One is eavesdropping and another is jamming. So what the eavesdropping is, it is the interception of confidential information. It is the interception of confidential information. And jamming is the interruption of legitimate information. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, but the PPTs are not seen now. Okay, now they are seen.
So when we talk about the physical layer attacks, then eavesdropping, eavesdropping and jamming are the two main attacks. So the first one is the interception of confidential information, while in case of jamming, there is interruption of legitimate information in which the signal is jammed by some interfering signal. So earlier we used to use spread spectrum to avoid the jamming. That is also the aspect of security that we have been using. Similarly, the other layer attacks are MAC spoofing, that is the falsification of MAC address, identity theft, that is the stealing of legitimate users' MAC identity, MITM attack, that is impersonation of pair of communicating node, network injection, that is injection of forged network commands and packets, network layer attack, IP spoofing, IP hijacking, Smurf attack, transport layer, transport flooding, UDP flooding, TCP sequence prediction attack. Similarly, at application layer, SQL injection, cross-site scripting, FTP bounce, SMTP attack. So these are the attacks which take place at different layers of OSI model. Now, when we talk about the wired network and wireless network, so the characteristics of the wired network are quite different from wireless network. When we talk about the physical layer security, the mainly physical layer security in today's context is deal with wireless networks, in which we use the characteristics of wireless channel. We use the characteristics of wireless channel to do something such that will be helpful in achieving the security aspect, that will be able to achieve the security measures by using some of the properties of the wireless channel. When we talk about the wired network, so when there are different wired networks like LAN, wired LAN, that is the passive optical network based on optical fiber. So all these are the wired network, and the security aspect of wired network at MAC layer and physical layer are extremely different than wireless network. So in this discussion, we are mainly focusing on wireless networks using physical layer security. So security in wireless network, that is security against eavesdropping, because I am talking about the physical layer security, as I have shown you in the previous slide, that eavesdropping and jamming, these two are the attacks that take place at physical layer. So mainly the technique that we are going to discuss, that is against eavesdropping. So in case of eavesdropping, which attribute of security is taken care, that is the confidentiality. In case of eavesdropping, the confidentiality attribute of security is taken care, and this eavesdropping takes place at physical layer of the network. In this case, interception of confidential information is done. The hacker or attacker or illegitimate user that used to access the information of the legitimate user, and traditionally we use cryptographic technique to take care of this confidentiality. So these are the classification of classical encryption techniques, as explained by in session 1 by Dr. Vyavhare sir, that these are the traditional cryptographic approaches like classical, modern, then symmetric key, asymmetric key, Classical are based on substitution method, transposition method, substitution method, monoalphabetic, polyalphabetic, then block cipher, stream cipher, asymmetric, RSA, DSA, Diffie-Hellman, AES, DS, all these are the classical cryptographic techniques. Few of them are based on symmetric key encryption, few are based on asymmetric key encryption, and few are based on public infrastructure key distribution system. So in traditional method, a general thing that we see in case of these traditional method, that in case of symmetric encryption schemes, we use the same key for data protection at both communication ends. So the symmetric encryption, the PLKG that I will discuss, that can be a kind of symmetric encryption. While in case of asymmetric encryption, schemes use common public key and different private key. These are also termed as public key cryptography and usually require a key distribution system. So in general, there are definitely, these techniques are doing very well in securing the data to achieving the confidentiality of the information. But we can say what can be the possible drawbacks that may not be suitable for a certain kind of situation. So these drawbacks are maybe the computational complexity, the latency, and these key systems, these traditional methods, that is public key based, that is the key distribution system, they require a key management infrastructure that should be secured as well. And one of other important thing is that these cryptographic techniques, these encryption techniques are used at higher layers of OSI model. So to get rid of these drawbacks, that is to have less computational complex method, to have less latency and secure, or the system in which there will be no requirement of key distribution system. So we are looking for some solution. So less attractive for nodes and networks, these drawbacks are less attractive, and networks having limited computational capacity and delay sensitive application. Traditionally, these techniques have been doing very well, but where the limitations of these techniques, so these techniques may be less attractive for nodes and networks having limited computational capacity and delay sensitive application. So number of wireless networks are being used today, which are having less computational complexity, like which work on low power, like WLAN, WPAN, Wi-Fi, then body area network, and all these are the small sized networks, like the different different distribution networks of IoT. So we think that we require that all these networks, all these nodes which are being operated at limited power, so the technique should be such that which is less computational complex, so it will not create the latency as well, and it will be suitable for these kind of applications. So we are going to explore this new kind of key generation technique that may be suitable for these kind of networks, avoiding these drawbacks which we have talked about the traditional methods. So summarizing the previous slides, I can see that we are discussing about the physical layer attacks. In physical layer attacks, we are talking about the eavesdropping. Eavesdropping, we are maintaining the confidentiality of the information, and for that we are going to discuss physical layer security. So what the physical layer security? Definitely, as name says, physical layer security, that is, it is related with the physical layer of OSI model. So physical layer security is the first security solution that focuses on exploiting the physical layer properties of wireless channel, such as multipath fading and interference, to protect the confidential information transmission against eavesdropping. So I am talking about the wireless channel, not talking about the wired channel. So for the rest of the discussion, the channel that we are considering will be the wireless channel. So in general, we say the channel itself is a problem. Problem in the sense the channel is hostile. The channel may be pure wireless channel. Whenever it is pure wireless channel, then it is AWGN channel, that is additive white Gaussian noise channel. It introduces noise in the system, that is having Gaussian probability distribution function. But when the channel is, but this wireless channel can be stationary. But whenever in today's scenario and in different networks like mobile networks, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, even WLAN, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. So these are the mobile networks. So when the network is mobile, that means either the source is mobile or the receiver is mobile or both are mobile. At that time, the channel is more hostile. At that time, there will be the effect of multipath fading and interference. But interestingly, the procedure for key generation that we are going to discuss that exploit this property for achieving some requirement of the key generation system. Interestingly, you will see that this bad property, you can say this hostile property, this undesirable property of the wireless channel will be utilized for the generation of the key. So the PLS against eavesdropping, the basic concept. What is the basic concept? As Vyavahari sir has discussed in his first lecture, Shannon, he discussed about the Shannon. We take the name with very respect. According to Shannon's theorem, it is impossible to recover the source signal at the receiver if the channel capacity is smaller than the data rate. That is given by Shannon. Now, after that, Wiener investigated the information theoretic security for discrete memoryless wiretap channel consisting of a source, destination, and an eavesdropper. So according to this basic concept of physical layer security, say this is the source node. This is the destination node and this is eavesdropper. So this link is called the main link, that is in between the source and destination, and this is between the source and eavesdropper, that is called the wiretap link. This is undesired link. So how, according to the Shannon theorem and according to the Wiener concept, how we are going to achieve the security? So according to physical layer security, the perfect secrecy is achieved if the secrecy capacity is positive. And what is the meaning of positive secrecy capacity? Meaning that when the main channel capacity is larger than wiretap channel capacity, the transmission from source to destination can be perfect secure. So that is the basic key. That is the basic sentence, fundamental sentence behind this physical layer security. So whatever physical layer security was, whatever physical layer techniques we are going to use for the security purpose, though all these techniques are relying on this statement. And what is that statement? Anyhow, we want to make the capacity, the secrecy capacity between desired or the legitimate pair are positive, and we make it negative between the source and undesired user, that is between the source and dropper. By using physical layer techniques, we want that when main channel capacity is higher than wiretap channel, the transmission from source to destination can be perfectly secure. In other words, when main channel conditions are better than wiretap channel condition, there exists a positive rate at which source node and destination node can reliably and securely exchange their information. So PLS classification. Earlier in earlier slides, I have shown that there are different methods. There are traditional encryption methods. Number of those techniques are based on key, while few of the techniques are keyless. So again, for PLS, that is for physical layer security, we classify key-based technique and keyless technique. So the technique that we are going to use, that is physical layer key generation for this discussion, that is key-based, while other techniques are keyless technique. These are different keyless techniques. These are different keyless techniques, that is the diversity technique, artificial noise technique, beam forming technique, OFDMA technique, cooperative communication, spread spectrum, coding technique, and physical layer key generation, that is key-based technique. So I will explain all these techniques in later slides. First, I will discuss physical layer key generation, that is the key-based technique. For all these techniques, I would like to summarize that diversity technique, we already use multiple antenna systems. So we can use multiple antenna systems in such a way that the secrecy capacity between the desired nodes will be more than undesired nodes. Similarly, in case of artificial noise, some artificial noise is injected in the network in such a way the secrecy capacity is made more between the legitimate user. Similarly, beamforming, OFDM, cooperative communication, spread spectrum, all these techniques can be used to achieve the physical layer security. But initially, I would like to have a detailed discussion on physical layer key generation, that this technique for physical layer security we are exploring for research. For this physical layer key generation, first, I will discuss what are the requirements and what are the performance measures of PLKG. Aiming to meet those requirements, we design or we discuss the PLKG system and how this PLKG system works. Then in this PLKG system, you will find that there is the main role of RSSI, that is received signal strength indicator. So I will discuss multiple slides about this RSSI, how it is acquired, what is the role of this RSSI in case of physical layer key generation, then PLKG procedure, and then I will take an example that what work we have done in case of PLKG with using moving window averaging. So one by one, the first one is physical layer key generation. As I have already discussed, it is one of the security technique and is unexplored field of research. PLKG is straightforward as the keys are generated at communicating nodes themselves and it does not require any public key infrastructure. So earlier, what we have concluded from the traditional technique that it is computationally complex, it may include latency or it may have more amount of delay and it require the public key infrastructure. So by aiming to find the solution for these three problems, we discuss PLKG as the solution. So PLKG is a straightforward key technique. It is key-based technique and it is such that it does not require any public key infrastructure. And what are the applications? It is quite suitable for wireless sensor network, IoT, smart medicine, etc. And all these networks can use PLKG to achieve security due to low mathematical complexity and latency. Now, in general, PLKG system, there are three nodes involved. That is, one is A and B, that is Alice and Bob. These are the legitimate nodes. And E, that is eavesdropper. Now, the channel conditions between A and B are indicated by HAB and HBA, while the channel condition between HAE is indicated by HAE and B and E, HBE. It is shown because these channel conditions play very important role in case of physical layer key generation. So what is how this physical layer key generation system will work? Just in 4 lines, Alice and Bob communicate by encrypting the messages using generated secret keys in this model. Eve is an eavesdropper, seeks to listen the message. Now, what do we do in case? Here, A generate a key and A generates a key and B generates a key. Now, the generated keys should be such that these are exactly same. The generated keys should be such that these are exactly same. Until and unless these will not be exactly same, then the key generated at A will encrypt the message and B must have the same key to decrypt the message. So, using the generated secret, it is assumed that all nodes, in this case, we are assuming that all nodes are using single antennas with a static channel and exchange the prop signal within one coherence period. अब ये क्यों कर रहे हैं? Why we are doing so? It will be more clear when we move further. Eve is a passive adversary and is placed several wavelengths away from Alice and Bob. with an assumption that channels are uncorrelated respectively. That means what we are trying to do, we are trying to iterate that the channel conditions between A and B should be such that the channel is correlated. That means when A receives the signal from B and B receives the signal from A, then the signals received should be correlated. And contrary to this, when we talk about the transmission between A and E, the channel has to be uncorrelated. So based on the reception, based on the reception of the signal, the desired node can decide whether it is desired user or it is undesired user. Eve is a passive adversary that is placed several wavelengths away. It is because to make the things uncorrelated. Eve is not capable to mine any significant information. In general, the adversary, the illegitimate node can be termed as active node and passive node. In our whole discussion, we are assuming that it is passive. So to make it active, we will have to take some other consideration, but for the simplicity purpose, we are assuming that it is passive node. Now this is the traditional system is shown in which Alice and Bob, there is public key infrastructure, and there are higher layers of communication model, which utilizes the traditional traditional encryption method, that is public key cryptography, and encryption takes place at the transmitting end and decryption at the receiving end and vice versa. But what happens in case of PLKG, that is physical layer key generation? In case of PLKG, now here you can see that here is the wireless channel between A and B, that is between Alice and Bob, and physical layer of communication model is there. There are certain channel parameters. Those channel parameters are used to extract some information, and by using that information, we can generate the key at Alice end as well as at the Bob end. There is no need of key infrastructure. So again, the same thing will happen. The key generated at Alice end will be used for the encryption purpose, and the key generated at the Bob end will be used for the decryption purpose. But another important thing is that these two keys must be same. Without the exchange of key, there will be no exchange of key. There will be no exchange of key will take place in case of PLKG. This is the PLKG system. These are the different blocks. We have made it in form of different blocks, which are classifying, which are separating the different operations of which are different processes of this PLKG. So initially, let's say this is Alice and this is Alice, this is Bob. Both are having the node and the wireless capability, wireless transmission reception capability. So whenever A will transmit, B will receive, and B will transmit, A will receive. But for the generation of key, the regular information is not used. For the generation of key, the regular information is not used. For the generation of keys, we use RSS values. So what is this RSS value? This RSS value is the received signal strength. The RSS is the received signal strength, and this received signal strength is not the part of actual transmission, while this is the part of the signals received from the beacons. These RSS values are the part of the beacons. These RSS values are extracted from beacons, which are regularly transmitted between two communicating parties who want to transmit, who want to communicate. So whenever you get connected with an access point, you yourself can see that whenever you connected to base station, in case of a mobile communication system, there is the exchange of beacons, there is the exchange of frames between your node and the base station. Similarly, when you connected with access point with your mobile, then also the exchange of beacons takes place between your device and your access point. So you can observe on your mobile system, you can observe on your handset, whichever handset you are using, you can see the value of RSSI. So I'm talking about that value. So it is what I am trying to say, that each and every user can see RSSI value. and that is not from the actual communication. When there is no communication, still you are receiving RSSI value, and these RSSI value is saying something about channel, and that is very important in this case of this PLKG, because these values are coming through the channel. So these received signal strength, the RSSI values are saying some important thing about the channel, and that can be used for key extraction. So the Alice will acquire the RSSI value which are sent from Bob. In a similar manner, Bob will receive RSSI values which will be sent from Alice. So both will have RSSI values. So this acquisition of this RSS value is called channel probing. The acquisition of this RSSI values is called channel probing. Which when channel probing takes place, you get RSSI values. Now, one word is written here, that is pre-processing. This pre-processing is an optional process. This pre-processing is an optional process. If we do not pre-process, then still we will be able to generate the key, but may be possible that the performance of the key may be not so good. Similarly, after the RSS values have been acquired, since it is these values you can consider now, this system is quite similar to your PCM system. This at these two stages, that is channel probing and quantization and encoding, because we all have a very good idea about the pulse code modulation system, in which you already know the working of sampling and you already know the working of quantization and encoding. So basically, channel probing is acquiring the samples which are coming through the channel and which are the signals coming from Bob. So these are the samples. RSSI acquisition means this is the collection of samples. So you are getting the sampled data. Now this sampled data, you can think that it is in discrete time form. The sampled data is in discrete time form, but when you see the values of these samples, these values are analog. These values are analog, means these RSS samples may have any value. It is not digital. It is not digital. So these RSS values are acquired. Then these, for key generation, we need the key in form of bits. We need the key in form of bits. So what is the need? The need is to quantize, that is to digitize these RSS samples. So first we digitize these RSS sample with the help of quantization. Now the quantization procedure is exactly same that we discuss traditionally. And because in depth we study in case of PCM system, so you can think that we are discussing the quantization of PCM here also. But how it is different, this quantization used in PLKG is different than the quantization used traditionally, that I will tell you. Similarly, after quantization, those analog samples are converted into digital samples. Those analog samples are converted into digital samples based on the number of quantization levels and all these things. But still, the quantized signal is in form of voltage. Output of the quantizer is in form of voltage. So we need to convert it in form of bits. That is done with the help of encoding. So what we have done up to this point, we have acquired the RSS samples, and these RSS samples are now converted into form of bits. Here also these samples are converted into form of bits. Now, this is very important block in case of physical layer key generation, that is information reconciliation. In case of information reconciliation, some information is exchanged between Alice and Bob. That is not exactly key. Some information is exchanged between Alice and Bob, and with the help of that small exchanged information, anyhow, they are able to make their key same. Now, what is the reason why the keys at Alice and Bob end are not same? क्योंकि Alice and Bob end पर key different same क्यों नहीं है? Because I talk very practically. What happens? Say you are using Wi-Fi, and for that, it may be possible if you are using the same card, same wireless card, then the power range of the transmitted signal, then the strength of the transmitted signal from the Alice end and from the Bob end will be the same. दोनों से same होगा, but due to channel. It's a channel which are which will which will uh, which will give its appearance, which will give its impact. The channel will change these RSS values, and it is quite possible the samples received at A and the samples received at B are now different due to, because of the channel is different at that instant of time, because when A captured the sample and when B captured sample at that time, channel behaved differently. So RSS values need not same. Therefore, whatever they have generated at this point will not be same. So to make it same, we utilize this block, and that is called information reconciliation. And interestingly, again, you will find that this information reconciliation block uses the error correcting codes. Interestingly, you will again see that this information block uses error correcting codes. And then after having it ensured the keys are same, to enhance the randomness of the key, it is passed through one more block that is called privacy amplification. And after privacy amplification, finally the keys are generated at Alice end as well as at Bob end. But the interesting thing is that the key is not exchanged. Both Alice and Bob both have generated the keys independently from the RSSI values. Now, the first thing is that now we are going to generate a key for the transmission, that is to achieve the confidentiality. Now, what are the requirement of this PLKG system? What do you expect? What should be the characteristics of your keys? So that you can evaluate your key, the performance of the system. So these are the requirement of key generation system, or we can say these are the performance indicators. Aiming to meet these performances, we will select the different processes which are taking in key generation system. So the first very important thing in case of key generation is the exactness of the key. The keys should be exactly similar. The keys should be exactly similar. If the keys are different, even in 1 bit, then the encoded by that key decoding will not be possible. So the keys should be exactly same, or we can say that there should not be any disagreement between the key. There should not be any disagreement between the key. So to evaluate the exactness of the key, one parameter that we take, that is called bit disagreement rate. To evaluate the exactness of the key, we utilize one parameter that is called bit disagreement rate. Now, the next important parameter of key generation system is the randomness. I think this randomness is very important. Not for this PLKG, I think this parameter is very important for all kind of keys, whether it is of higher layer supported key generation or it is supported at physical layer. So that because keys should be random. Keys should be random. More will be the randomness of your key, less will be the possibility of understand it by undesired user. So key has to be random. So how we achieve this randomness, that is also very important in case of PLKG and also in other systems also. Similarly, another important parameter or requirement we can say, that is the computational complexity, because we are aiming to use the low power networks and these are the wireless network. So we think that we should use the system that is less computationally complex. So these three requirements we are taking, and how can we achieve these three things by selecting the different blocks of PLKG system that I am going to discuss. So first one I am describing. First I will elaborate these three things. So as I have told you, bit disagreement rate, it depicts the strength of PLKG system. It is the ratio of number of bits that do not agree between the legitimate users to the total number of bits. Suppose you have sent 128 bit of keys from Alice and not sent. Suppose you have generated 128 bit key from Alice and 128 key at Bob end, and suppose 10 bits are not in agreement, then you can find the bit disagreement ratio. It is represented in terms of mathematically, because when you find the result, when you simulate, when you practically do it, you need to quantify it. So it is quantified in terms of KDR, that is called key disagreement rate. This is also called BDR, that is called bit disagreement rate. Both terminologies are used to indicate the same thing. Now, another very important thing is key randomness. Whenever we're discussing about the encryption systems, this randomness should be discussed. This randomness need to be considered. So randomness is the most important feature for key sequence. A less random key will result in smaller search space by brute force attack, thus compromising the security of cryptographic system. Now, we want randomness. The system should, the generated keys must be very random. Randomness, now there are various tests of randomness at various levels that I will show you. So there are various tools for testing the randomness. Most reliable and most used tool is used, that is NIST test, that is National Institute of Standard and Technology suite, that is used for the randomness testing. You can see in the papers of cryptographic techniques for checking the randomness, this NIST test suite is used. So this is some special tips may be there, how to launch, how to download, how to get this NIST suite and how to work on it. Because suppose if we are doing the work in some other simulator, then you should know how to work, how to find the randomness by NIST test. So NIST test suite is the group of 15 statistical tests. It consists of 15 statistical tests, among which 7 are used most commonly to test the randomness in generated keys. So so what is this NIST? It is commonly employed to check the randomness of random number generator and pseudo random number generator, not for key generation system. It can be used to check the randomness of any sequence. Since PLKG is a random number generator, so it can be employed for randomness testing of generated keys. And as I have told you in this previous slide, it is a group of 15 tests, each evaluating a distinctive feature. Each test outputs a p-value, which is compared with predefined statistical threshold alpha, which is ranging from this range. If p-value is greater than alpha, then sequence pass the test. So we check whether our test has passed the sequence or not. So there are number of tests, as I have told you, there are 15 tests. Now you can see that the level of the randomness check, 15 ways there are to test the randomness. We say na, हम कहते हैं जो पूरी तरह से ठोक बजा के. So that is this complete test, which is giving you each and everything, each and every aspect by which we can check the randomness. So the frequency test to determine the proportion of ones and zeros in input sequence. Frequency test to verify the frequency of ones in an m-bit block to be approximately m by 2. Runs test to find out total number of runs of identical bits in the sequence. Longest run of ones in block to find the longest run of ones within m blocks. Serial test to determine the frequency of all possible overlapping m-bit patterns across the entire sequence. Approximate entropy test to compare the frequency of overlapping blocks of two consecutive adjacent lengths against the expected result for a random sequence. Cumulative sums test. Binary matrix test. Discrete Fourier transform test. Morer's universal statistical test, linear complexity test, randomness excursion test, randomness excursion variant test, overlapping template matching test, non-overlapping template matching test. So you can, when you are going to check the randomness of any key generation system, even it may be traditional. So when the randomness of the key is checked over all this NIST, this NIST test, so these 15 tests are taken place in for under NIST, and based on how much tests are passed, based on that, if the keys are passing more tests, then it is said that the key are random, more random. Now another way to find the randomness of the key, that is the simplest way, that is to calculate the entropy. That is the calculate the entropy. Again, we study in case of information theory. what is the importance of the random entropy and how it is related with the randomness. We study that more will be the random, more will be the entropy. More will be the value of entropy is more. That means the randomness is more, and the associated information is more. So this is the formula with all we know to evaluate the randomness. That is P log P plus जो first symbol, that is M1 log M1 plus M2 log M2. So the simple example we already study. For this case and for this case, we have evaluated the value of this entropy, and for first case it is 0.91 and for second case it is 1. So in this case, the randomness, the value of it is 1. Since the probability of occurrence of zeros are equal, these are equiprobable. Someone has asked about how to, that this is the measure you can evaluate with the help of whatever keys you have generated. Suppose you are using any of the algorithm for encryption, you may be working for other algorithms, say AES, DES, RSA, and in a similar manner you can evaluate the randomness of the test. If you want, write in the comment box. I can have a 10 to 15 minute lecture of my student how to install that NIST test suite and how to get it tested, because it is very important. Whenever we evaluate the randomness using entropy, I personally feel that it evaluate one or two aspects that is coming from the NIST test. But when you use the NIST test, then it covers all the aspect of randomness, and that is internationally accepted randomness checker. So it is better to use NIST while evaluating the randomness of the key. So there may be some tutorials available. What is NIST and how this NIST can be used to evaluate the key. And if you want, even I will have 10 minutes discussion on that. Now, another thing is, in few applications, we have seen that we can use this formula also. That is length of the key and using the same. However, we have checked that through literature, because my students are using this. We are working on this physical layer key generation, and we are exploring each and every aspect of this. So we have checked the randomness with NIST test also, and we have checked the randomness with entropy also. So we got few differences also, but this is alternate way. And if we want to use entropy, then entropy can be used by either using this traditional way or using this another way. But the difference, what we found in literature, that we have written that the entropy of key is used to calculate the average length of key in general. The above equation is useful, this one, in such cases where key length is not fixed before the key reconciliation stage. And for the fixed length key, we prefer to use the equation that is shown in earlier slide. So that is what about I discussed. I discussed about the performance measures of key generation system. The first one is the bit disagreement rate, and the another one is the randomness. In general, you can have a look at the different performance matrices possible. All these are possible. We have taken up a few. So these performance matrices can be classified. These can be statistical one, these can be experimental one, these can be analytical one. So statistically, you can evaluate the mutual information. Apart from key disagreement, you can evaluate the key secret key capacity. You can find the randomness by NIST. All these are the statistical parameter. You can simulate also. Through simulation, you can also get it. Similarly, if you are performing the experimentation, then these three parameters are important. And analytically, you can evaluate the computational complexity of your key generation system. You can compare the computational complexity of your physical layer key generation system with traditional techniques also. And you can you can say with this amount of this percentage of certainty, this percentage of probability, with this probability that the computational complexity of your PLKG will be reduced down by this amount. So I discussed about the parameters of any key generation system. Not it can be except BDR. These parameters can be equally valid for other encryption systems as well. Now, key generation system and principles. Again, it is very important. As I told you earlier, we discussed 4 processes. This is the physical layer key generation system. I discussed about Alice. I discussed about Bob. I discussed about Eve. This is the channel between a desired user. This is the channel between undesired user. And these are the 4 processes that is the part of physical layer key generation. That is the channel probing, quantization, key reconciliation, and privacy amplification. So the same diagram I have taken at this point also. This block only has been elaborated here. That is channel probing, quantization, information reconciliation, and privacy amplification. Now, this is the whole system. This is the whole system that consisting of Alice and Bob or Alice and eavesdropper. But to discuss how each block will work, we have to go at one end. So first I am considering this PLKG system only at one end, maybe at Alice and at the Bob end. So initially we acquire RSS values. The acquisition of RSS is very important, but we don't have any control on RSSI, received RSSI, because it is controlled by wireless channel. The channel will change the received signal, whatever is transmitted. So we propose to have one process that is called pre-processing. To get the desired performance of the key generation system, we want to pre-process it. So later on, you will be able to know very well that with the help of pre-processing, we can get good BDR, we can achieve good amount of randomness and reduced computational complexity, that is the overall aspect of this PLKG system. So the pre-processed data, still that the samples are in form of analog value converted into digital value, converted into form of bits. So now we have corresponding to received RS, we have the initial key. Corresponding to received RSSI, by processed after some pre-processing, quantizing and encoding, we have initial key. After key reconciliation, but this initial key, there is the quite possibility, or there will be 100% possibility, these initial keys at Alice and Bob end are definitely be different, because different channel condition, the time instant at which A acquired the signal and the time instant at which B acquired the signal, due to that the RSSI, received RSSI is 100% going to be different. So the solution is key reconciliation. So this key reconciliation will reconcile and will create the equal keys, both of the ends. Now this key will be used for encryption and decryption, and to enhance the randomness, we further use the privacy amplification. Now one by one, we will be discussing each of the stages very thoroughly. So first, when the RSS signal is received, then the first wireless channel comes into the picture. When the signal is received, when Alice transmit, Bob received, wireless channel is in between. And wireless channel, what is doing wireless channel? It is doing something good, it is doing something bad. So in general, not for key generation, in general, wireless signal transmitted over wireless channel are affected adversely depending upon the channel condition. Hence, signal received has impact of various physical phenomena like reflection, scattering, diffraction, and mobility. So whatever RSS signals are being received, they are modified due to different channel condition. The physical phenomena and mobility produces random fluctuation. So what is the result of this? The result of this, in received RSS value, you have transmitted the fixed value, because when you are not signaling, you are not transmitting actual information, only the beacons are transmitted, and if the channel is ideal channel, then the received signal, then the RSSI should be of constant value. But due to the variation of the channel, whatever RSSI you are receiving, that will be coming with random fluctuations. This can be looking like this. So RSSI, whatever you are receiving, though it may be discrete in time, but it will suffer from these kind of random fluctuation. Now, in this picture, fast variations you are observing, and in this picture, slow variations you are observing. So these are the characteristics of the wireless channel. If the wireless channel, suppose your Alice and Bob, both are stationary nodes, and the channel condition is good, then still it is AWGN channel, that is additive white Gaussian noise. So now Gaussian noise will be introduced even if your channel is good. But if your channel is bad channel, even if your channel is mobile channel, if the channel is multipath channel, then another phenomena will take place, that is called fading. So fading, when the signal which is coming through wireless channel and which is offering fading, then at the receiving end, it can be constructive result, or it can be destructive result, because whatever you are transmitting, the multiple replicas you are receiving due to multipath reception. Multiple replicas you are receiving due to multipath reception. And due to that, the signal received can be of similar phase, it can be of reverse phases. So what will be the result? The overall result will be the rapid fluctuations in RSSI value. The rapid fluctuations in RSSI value. Now, the channel, if the channel is fading channel, it can be Rayleigh channel, it can be Rician channel. These two are the models. Like if it is not fading channel, it is, the mathematical model is called, it is white Gaussian noise channel. You apply the Gaussian distribution to simulate the Gaussian channel, to simulate wireless channel. In a similar manner, if the channel is fading channel, you use Rayleigh channel and Rician channel. These two are the fading channels, but used in different channel conditions. Rayleigh channel, in the case of Rayleigh channel, there will be dominant non-light of sight component. In case of Rayleigh channel, in case of the received signal strength which is coming from Rayleigh channel, there will be the dominance of non-line of sight component. But in case of Rician channel, there will be the dominance of line of sight component. So it can be used to represent different kind of practical situation. Say we are simulating, we are doing the experimentation in a populated city. There are number of buildings, there are number of trees, there are number of obstructions. So there will be the great possibility that you will realize, you will simulate the channel using Rayleigh. But if you are going to simulate the things, like in case of some rural environment, there are very few buildings, very few trees, then you can use the Rician distribution. So in case of Rayleigh, there will be the dominance of non-line of sight component, whereas in case of Rician distribution, there will be the dominance of line of sight component. Another important aspect is the path loss. Fading तो हो ही रहा है, fading के भी बहुत type हो सकते हैं. Fading can be small scale fading, fading can be large scale fading, fading can be slow fading, fading can be fast fading. So there are multiple parameters of wireless channel which will affect the RSSI value. Similarly, path loss model. This is the general characteristics of any electromagnetic signal wave. Whenever you transmit it from transmitter to receiver, it gets attenuated. It gets attenuated, and in general, it is called path loss. So apart from fading, there will be path loss. Apart from fading, there will be path loss. So you need to model, you need to consider path loss component also. Similarly, if it is fading channel, then these four parameters are very much important. I am not going to discuss these parameters in very much detail because our motto is to discuss the PLKG, but few of these things are still required in case of this PLKG system. So these four parameters are coherence time, coherence bandwidth, delay spread, and Doppler spread. So we are going to utilize the coherence time later on. You will see in few of the slides. So what is the coherence time? The coherence time, we can say, since this fading channel is real example of time varying channel. This fading channel is real example of time varying channel. So for time varying channel, what do you mean by time varying system? The meaning of time varying system is, if you are evaluating if you are receiving something from the system, after some time, then it will get changed due to variations in the parameters of the system over the period of the time. The same thing applies to channel as well. Coherence time is that time, the time over which the response of the channel is constant. The channel conditions will remain constant in a coherence time interval. So what we are again and again iterating, that the samples of Alice and Bob are taken in one coherence time interval. The samples of Alice and Bob are taken in one coherence time interval to ensure that there will be minimum discrepancy in RSSI of Alice and Bob. Now, role of wireless channel in PLKG. I discussed in general what is the role of wireless channel for signal transmission. So if your channel is more hostile, in case of any system, you will get value of more bit error rate. If the channel conditions are poor, the value of bit error rate will be more. But in case of PLKG, what we are going to do, in case of PLKG, as the generated keys must have sufficient randomness. The generated keys must have sufficient randomness, and fortunately, these random fluctuations are used to meet this randomness. This random fluctuations of wireless channel is used to meet this randomness. So earlier I told you that the channel, wireless channel, it will offer some disadvantages as well as some advantages. Though in general, it is disadvantage which comes in terms of bit error rate. But in case of physical layer key generation, these random fluctuations are used to enhance the randomness of the system. So that is the positive aspect that is being inserted by wireless channel from the physical layer key generation point of view. So now, first acquisition of RSSI. So how we acquire the RSSI? Traditionally, if we leave apart RSSI, there are other ways also, the extraction of channel. If we leave apart RSSI, then there are other ways also, that is angle of arrival, that is RSSI, that is the distance, and that is CSI. In general, there are 4 parameters which can be used to extract the behavior of the channel. There are 4 parameters which can be used to extract the behavior of the channel: angle of arrival, received signal strength indicator, distance, and CSI, that is channel state information. But in general, what we have seen through the literature and through experimentation, what we have found that CSI, the extraction of CSI is a bit difficult. Extraction of CSI is a bit difficult compared to the extraction of RSSI. I have given you clue earlier. Even you can receive RSSI through your mobile nodes. आपके फोन में आप RSSI की वैल्यू को एक्वायर कर सकते हो, आप RSSI की वैल्यू को देख सकते हो. इन अ सिमिलर मैनर, जितने भी वायरलेस नोड्स हैं, जितने all the wireless nodes coming that are the part of any small network like Wi-Fi, like Bluetooth, like WPAN, like wireless sensor network, all are having the provision of acquisition of RSSI. So as I told you earlier, CSI is extracted such that it reflects multiple phases frequency response of the channel. Actually, the extraction of CSI is based on some predictions, and so the acquisition of CSI is more difficult. RSSI, as contrary to CSI, RSS is extracted from beacons of wireless standard such as WLAN, WSN, Bluetooth, LoRa, etc. These networks can be the parts of IoT also. So in this discussion, we are considering only RSSI since we have worked on this RSSI. Now, in case of PLKG, by using wireless channel, we are going to utilize 3 principles that are being used to generate the keys. The first is the temporal variations, the another one is the channel reciprocity, and another one is the spatial decorrelation. For the key extraction for PLKG system, 3 principles are being used: temporal variations, channel reciprocity, and spatial decorrelation. So first, the temporal variation. It accounts for variation arises due to reflection, scattering of the received signals from the movement of communicating nodes or other object in surroundings. These temporal variations introduce sufficient randomness in channel parameters, which is necessary for key generation. However, these temporal variations introduce disagreement of keys between both nodes. Which is, I am reiterating the same thing. The channel will induce few good things, few bad things. So if the variations are more, suppose A and B, both the transmitter of A and transmitter of B are transmitting at same power level and the channel is ideal one, then the acquisition of RSS values at both of the ends will be the same. At that time, there will be same quantized value, there will be same encoded value. So there will be no disagreement. But because there is channel, there will be disagreement. But at the same time, because there is channel, there will be sufficient randomness. And to maintain the minimum bit disagreement, the samples are taken in one coherence time that I told you. We want, there should be, there has to be some variation. The variation has to be some extent. There will be large variation, there will be much degradation, there will be much disagreement. So we don't want much disagreement. We want small disagreement that we can easily correct. At the same time, we want randomness also. So that is achieved. So these temporal variations are measured or quantified in terms of autocorrelation function. The temporal variation, that means at the Ellis end itself, at the bob end itself, these temporal variations are quantified in terms of autocorrelation. The sample that you earlier received and the next subsequent sample you have received. You can evaluate the value of correlation and you can find that how two samples are correlated. That is the temporal variation, which is showing the variation of the received signal strength at one end only. And you can quantify it in terms of autocorrelation. Similarly, there is another principle that is called channel reciprocity. It is very important and represents the same nature of channel on both the communicating links at same carrier, that is due to same propagation path from both direction of the channel. This facilitates identical key generation at both ends, as the mode of communication is half duplex. In general, whatever literature, we have seen that the method of sampling the RSS value is half duplex. That means we take the sample at one end and in one coherence time, we take the sample at other end. It is not possible to simultaneously pick the sample at both of the ends. And that is the reason of disagreement also. And so it is in half duplex mode. It results in non-simultaneous measurement at both ends, which causes unevenness in the channel and causes discrepancies in the generated keys. So it indicates the same nature of channel. It also indicates the same nature of channel from both ends. I think this has been. So this channel reciprocity is measured in terms of cross correlation. This channel reciprocity is measured in terms of cross correlation. Cross correlation, we want minimum cross correlation. We want minimum cross correlation because the corresponding sample at both of the ends should have minimum discrepancy, but has to be discrepancy to maintain the randomness. So this can be minimized by applying some signal processing like filtering that I will discuss later. Now the third property is the spatial decorrelation. In this spatial decorrelation, as per the theory of communication, any entity placed farther than half wavelength away from any of the communicating nodes, it experiences uncorrelated multipath feeding. So that is an essential feature for the security purpose, and it is assumed that the Eve is situated farther than half wavelength away from legitimate users in real-time systems. So if it is so, then there will be decorrelation between the legitimate node and illegitimate node, while there will be large amount of correlation between two legitimate nodes. Now again we come back, we have discussed that the RSSI, not RSSI, we have discussed about what will be the role of channel. What will be the role of channel? Now we come to another very important and interesting point, that is RSSI and its acquisition. As I told you, RSS is the measure in general. What the RSS is? It is the measure of average received signal power transmitted from access point or any node and may also represent the link quality. In general, if you are receiving less value of the RSS as was transmitted from the transmitter, we say that the link quality is poor. So it is the indicator, in general, it is the indicator of link quality. RSS is most common channel parameter used in experiments and real-time systems to gather randomness of wireless channel. Now, I have given you the example. You can use your mobile device for acquiring this RSS value. It is very much easy. You need not to purchase any other devices. If you have your mobile phones, you can acquire the value of RSSI. So this can be used for PLKG as well. Many applications in real time like WLAN, Bluetooth, all these are having the provision to capture RSSI values. WLAN and Bluetooth are most commonly adopted technology for PLKG, which uses acknowledgement frame for successful reception. Now, these are the different wireless technologies. In all these, we can utilize RSS value. All these have the provision for acquiring RSSI value. So these are the wireless technology. It's a frequency range, it's data rate. So you can, but what are the technologies, what are the systems that you can find for PLKG that mentioned in literature, and we've also worked on that, that is WLAN, Bluetooth, WiMAX, LoRa, Sigfox, NB, IoT. So these are the working frequency range, and that is the range, distance range in kilometer, and this is the data rate being supported by these technologies. Each technology has its own application. For example, WSN may be used in industrial application. 802.15.4 is used for body area network. For large coverage, LoRa, Sigfox, NB IoT are used. Wireless transceivers employed in these wireless technologies commonly measure RSS, which is used in PLKG. The real-time calculation of RSS is a bit complicated in transceivers and depends upon the wireless technology used. So again, we have this literature review that is done by one of my PhD student, Ankit Soni. So you can see that how this RSS value is calculated on different technologies, that is in IEEE 802.16, 802.11, 802. LoRa. So, and these are having the different value of, these are having the different values of the different test bed also. These are having different test bed also. Now, how the RSS measurement takes place, because you don't know, you have acquired RSS value in your mobile phone, which is coming from access point. The signal is coming from access point. Now, what is going on in between? The RSS value is what is calculated by measuring the energy extracted from the preamble of received signal exchanged in probing phase. So what I was reiterating, whenever beacons are exchanged, from that beacon itself, this RSS value is acquired, and it is calculated on the basis of these calculation as per the card or the test bed or your device is used. Structure of typical packet, like for WLAN, this is the beacon structure, this is the preamble. With the help of preamble, sync word, with the help of these fields, we are able to generate, we are able to generate the RSS value, or we are able to see that is being, that is done inside your system, you don't know. But with the help of that formula and with the help of this preamble and sync word information, beacon signal is generated in form of some voltage level. RSS quantification. So only, it is also, we have also found through exhaustive literature review that only one RSS value is obtained for each beacon. It is a coarse grained parameter. RSS is derived from receiver driver or NIC card, network interface card, which is not the same as the actual transmit power from access point or router. It is not exact the same power. That is made different by having some calculation. The relationship, but it is having the relationship. The relationship between RSSI value and physical parameter are not consistent, and its range are different. It is found that its range are different for different technologies, for different manufacturers. So it is, however, this heterogeneous nature of devices is unlikely to have an impact on key generation protocol, because we are assuming that whatever nodes, whatever Alice and Bob, we are using the same test bed for Alice and Bob, but possibly there may be certain modifications so that it can be for heterogeneous environment. So these are these are how in case of 802.11 all NICs for 802.14, that is BKZ and Telso B. For Bluetooth, smartphone and Bluetooth dongle can be used. For LTE, again smartphone can be used. That is for RSS extraction. Now, very interestingly, you can do simulation, you can do theoretical analysis, as well as you can do experimentation. Because most of the research, when we do, we always feel there is the lack of experimentation. So especially in this physical layer की generation, please mute the mic. Please mute the mic. किसी का mic खुला हुआ है. Please mute the mic. So what we have felt that in case of PLKG, we can do experimentation as well easily. So an experiment is performed. What we have done, we have performed experiment using this node with working over this frequency range, and this is at Alice and at the Bob end. This device looks like this. So this is the probe signal acknowledgement, then probe signal acknowledgement. So we get, and this probed signal, this is the coherence time that we get at both of the ends. The value, this is the time delay. This is coherence time. So the time delay between measurements has to be more than the coherence time of the channel. And by adjusting these things, we can receive the RSSI value as desired. RSSI mainly depends upon the type of environment. As discussed about in wireless channel, the distance between transmitter and receiver and can be modeled by log distance path loss model as well as Rayleigh and Rician fading. So these are the equations for path loss model, and there will be a Gaussian random variable in case of this path loss model, which is representing the random variations of noise. So you can see that interestingly, we have performed the experimentation. We have performed the experimentation for these 5 scenarios for NLOS, LOS, 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 static mobile. So the nodes are static in 3 cases and mobile in 2 cases. The range we have, whether it is indoor and outdoor. Indoor 3 scenarios are formed in indoor environment, while 2 are used in outdoor environment. So we experimented in our lab itself. You can see that this is the Alice and this is Bob, Alice and Bob, and there is non-line of sight between Alice and Bob. Similarly, in case of second scenario, you can see that there is direct line of sight communication. Here, there is a third one, that is static. There is an intermediate object in between. So this is the intermediate object that is present in between. These are drawn nicely by Ankit, and these 2 experiments, or these 2 scenarios are experimented, or these 2 scenarios are formed in our garden of the block, in which Alice is in between the garden and Bob that is moving around, and in the second one in which both are mobile, both are moving here. So in this way we simulated, we formed 5 scenarios and taken the values of RSSI at Alice end as well as at Bob end. You can see that interestingly, these kind of variations you get, these are the variations that we actually get. Whatever we have got from the experimentation, these are the result of that. So at Alice and Bob end, you can see that the random fluctuations in the signal that you will find. Now, this is the first block, that is the RSS acquisition. Now, once you acquired the RSS value, the second block is the pre-processing. The second block is the pre-processing. So we are doing research on this block. We are mainly focusing on this block, that is pre-processing. So you can see that this is for our system, beacon transmission, that is RSS acquisition. Then here, this is with the help of moving window averaging, we have performed RSS pre-processing, then quantized, then there will be reconciliation, and then hashing, that is the privacy amplification. इसको discuss करेंगे बाद में. So another important point of discussion is processing, and that will open up from as per me, because 2 or 3 students are working under me in PLKG, and especially we are working on this pre-processing block. So I found this block that is unexplored. So pre-processing system now what is our aim? We want to minimize BDR as well as we want to enhance sufficient, we want to have sufficient randomness. So BDR, that is bit disagreement जो है, that should be as low as possible with maintaining randomness. So there may be different pre-processing techniques, like you can have a look at. These are the classification of pre-processing techniques with found in literature, and there are many more techniques which are not applied earlier and you can think about to apply. So these pre-processing techniques may be based on transformation. These pre-processing techniques may be based on dimensionality reduction. These may be based on filtering. That for understanding purpose, I can say that whatever RSS values you have received, you can simply pass it through low-pass filter. Whatever received values you have received, you can pass it through low-pass filter. So when you pass it through low-pass filter, the variations are reduced, and that will enhance the value of bit disagreement rate. But at the same time, we do not make the variation 0 because we want randomness as well. Then we design the quantizer in such a way that bit disagreement becomes 0. Participants keep on calling, I think, in between. So these are the classification of RSSI, possible RSSI pre-processing techniques. So Elish, I would like to discuss about this RSSI pre-processing in general. There are different dimensions of this pre-processing. It can be data cleaning, it can be integration, it can be transformation, it can be reduction. So data cleaning, as I have given you the example, to clean the data, to eliminate the amount of noise, to minimize the noise, that can be done with the help of filtering. One of the example is filtering. You can do with the help of transformation as well. Suppose you have taken the time domain measurement and you convert it in frequency domain. What you can do with the help of, you can analyze it in frequency domain by cutting off its high frequency variations. So you can low pass filter it and you can analyze it in time domain as well as in frequency domain. So what the meaning of data cleaning is? It includes filling of missing values, smoothing of noisy data, and resolving the inconsistencies in general. But in context to PLKG, it is the smoothing of the noisy data. Then different signal pre-processing techniques, basic statistical approaches are generally used for data cleaning of RSSI. For example, bit error rate performance of communication system may use to reduce the bit disagreement rate, that is to reduce the bit disagreement rate and to reduce bit error rate. And in general, that system may utilize it to reduce bit error rate, and in PLKG, it can be used to reduce bit disagreement rate. Data integration is another aspect of this RSS pre-processing. Then transformation, we have seen in literature that various transformations are used for that purpose. That is discrete cosine transform, wavelet transform, short-term wavelet transform. There are so many transformations. Simply we have applied for our clarification Fourier transform, and all it works and it gives the improvement in bit disagreement rate performance. Another important aspect is dimensionality reduction, very important. So what we have done, suppose I have collected 1,000 samples in some unit interval of time. But because we want to make the process as simple as possible, to make it as less complex as possible. So instead of processing 1,000 RSSI values, what I can do, I can use such a pre-processing technique by which I can select its few candidates which are representing those candidates. Suppose I have made the 10 columns of 100 value and I have distributed 1,000 in this manner. Now by using, there are certain techniques which are called PCA analysis, that is principal component analysis, that is individual principal component analysis. By using these analysis, what I can do, instead of processing 110 columns, what I can do, I can select only 2 columns which are having the most information contents. And we have also done that, and we found that instead of processing 10 columns, if we process only 2 columns, or instead of processing 10 components, if we process only 2 components, then we get the same performance of PLKG system. So this is very important aspect, that is dimensionality reduction, because beacons are coming at regular interval. That is not in our control, because that is made by manufacturer. So what we can do, instead of processing all RSSI values, we can select few which are the candidates, which are the representing the candidate samples for rest of. So this is important thing, and it is very interesting. So we applied ICA and PCA. This is the classification. This is that I have already discussed. But interestingly, we worked upon the dimensionality reduction. We worked upon this filtering method. We worked upon to some extent on transformation. But another aspect that yesterday sir was discussing, Devesh sir, that is machine learning as well. You can use machine learning for this purpose. So this is another aspect. Now, what will be the impact of applying pre-processing? As I told you earlier, it is an optional block. It is an optional block. So when we apply these pre-processing techniques, in terms of randomness, it will enhance the randomness, or it will retain the randomness. At the same time, we want to reduce the bit disagreement rate. So we found that we are able to reduce the bit disagreement rate. Now, after pre-processing, the next block is quantization and encoding. In case of quantization and encoding, you can think of the same quantization that you study in case of pulse code modulation. That means there will be the range of quantizer that will be equally divided into equal intervals. That those you can say that quantization interval, there will be quantization levels, but the requirement of PCM system is extremely different, and the requirement of PLKG system is extremely different. So in general, for PCM system, what do you want? Because the data rate of the encoded signal in case of PCM system depends upon the design of quantization. More will be the number of quantization levels, more will be the data rate, more will be the required bandwidth. But in case of PLKG system, we do not have such constraints, because we are not going to transmit this quantized and encoded signal. We are not going to transmit this quantized and encoded value on the channel. These are being utilized at the transmitting and receiving end separately, both. So in general, the requirement of quantization is different than PLKG system, but the components are the same, the concept is the same. So there may be the classification of quantization schemes also. It can be lossy, it can be lossless, it can be uniform, it can be non-uniform, it can be adaptive, it can be non-adaptive. So in case of linear quantizer, the entire range of required, this is another classification, linear quantization that we generally do. The equi-spaced quantization intervals are there. Similarly, the division of quantization levels are based on the peak range of the signal, or it can be based on the mean and variance of the signal. So the partitioning can be done on the two bases. One on the basis of the peak ranges of the signal, and another can be done on the mean and variance of the signal. Similarly, non-linear quantization. In case of non-linear quantization, the quantization levels are not equi-spaced. The quantization level, in general, it is done with the help of compounding. In general, non-uniform or non-linear quantization is achieved with the help of compounding. But in this case, the basic concept is the same, but the requirement is different. So in non-linear quantization, आपके जो intervals होंगे, that will be not equi-spaced. Intervals will be of different sizes. Lossy and lossless. In key generation, the quantization lossy provides high entropy and generate less than 1 bit per sample. And whereas lossless quantization requires additional randomness to improve entropy and generate 1 or more bits per sample. So what will be the impact of this quantization? The quantization method will be selected in such a way that it should reduce bit error rate, it should maintain the randomness. And what happens if we want to make quantization error very small? यदि हम quantization error को बहुत कम करना चाहेंगे, तो definitely we will keep more number of quantization level, but it will enhance the possibility of more bit disagreement rate. So I am saying the same thing. In case of, in general, we need to have minimum quantization error, but in this case, we need to have minimum BDR, and this BDR will be increased if we take the sufficient step size. Now, another important thing, that is key reconciliation. That is very important. If you can imagine that block diagram of this physical layer key generation system, then after quantization at both ends, whatever RSS values was acquired, pre-processed, it is quantized and encoded. But due to random nature of channel, these are not definitely same. Now, it is the responsibility of this block, key generation, key reconciliation block, to make these two same. So interestingly, how it is done, reconciliation is the process of ensuring that two sets of records are in agreement to each other. Information reconciliation is one of the important for us. Generation of exactly identical keys at both ends is mandatory, because a mismatch even in single bit would result in failure in decryption. So based on quantization scheme followed by A and B, the close absolute value of probbed RSS may quantized differently, which causes discrepancy between binary patterns of legitimate users. So this binary sequence is now how it is done. In information reconciliation, जो हमको binary digits मिले हैं, these are further treated with a set of predefined rules at both ends with minimum mutual information exchange. So earlier what I told you, that there is no need of shareable public infrastructure, but still at this reconciliation stage, we share something, not actual keys, but we share something. So what we are going to share and how that information, shared information is generated, it is achieved with the help of this reconciliation is done with the help of error correcting codes. So there are so many error correcting codes are available, like Hamming code, parity check code. Hamming code is also parity check code, BCH code, LDPC code. All these codes can be used, are having its own advantages and disadvantages. So these are the different key reconciliation scheme, error control coding schemes that can be used in this block of physical layer key generation. So now how this key reconciliation will take place? This is just an example. Suppose A has and B both have got converted encoded data in form of bits. Now what A will do, with the help of error correcting code, and with the help of generated key, it will generate the syndrome. First it will generate the check bits, and then it will generate the check bits, and by key, with the help of key, it will generate the syndrome. So that syndrome is transmitted. Now with the help of the syndrome, the receiver or the Bob will decode it, and it will check whether error is there or not. Now after that, one more check will be there, that is called cyclic redundancy check. And here at this stage, PA, cyclic redundancy check, the information that is coming after CRC at PA, and here if it is equal, that means the keys generated at both ends are same. Now it can encrypt it and it can decrypt it. But if it is not same, then it goes to top, that is from RSS acquisition. So this works in iteration. So here it is very important role of error correcting code, which scheme you are going to take. Like in case of LDPC code, it is one shot iteration. So the time taken by, because we are hungry for, so that less amount of time, we are hungry for less amount of required time. So it depends on the selected scheme of error correcting code in key reconciliation stage, and the same thing is explained here. First Alice generate random bit stream, and this happens. Now, what will be the impact of this key reconciliation on PLKG? It may insert additional delay. So the same thing I am saying, it is very important to select appropriate error correcting code. And in general, we may have different requirement of error correcting code scheme. Now, after key reconciliation, the next stage is privacy amplification. As I have told you, some information is shared Not all. Some information is shared, and to make it more random, one more stage is there. But we have also seen in the literature, if we pre-process RSS samples in such a manner that it may eliminate the need of this traditional block of privacy amplification. So that is one more addition or one more deletion or one more modification in PLKG system. So there are traditional functions which are used for privacy amplification, which are called hashing functions. So SHA1, SHA2, SHA3, these are secure hashing algorithms are used to insert, to inculcate, to increase the randomness in the bits, and this randomness is checked with the help of NIST test suite. Now I have explained all the blocks. Now I briefly show you the results. I think it will not be possible to discuss all the slides, but I will complete this PLKG system. So now what we have done, we have acquired the RSS values. Now for pre-processing, we have used moving window averaging. For pre-processing, we have used moving window averaging. Then we have used non-uniform quantization, that is based on non-uniform PDF, that is Lloyd Max based quantizer. Then we have simply used linear block coding technique because we were working upon these two blocks only. So we have taken simplest, although the iterations will be more in case of linear block code as compared to LDPC. Then we used the secure hashing function. So this is the moving window averaging. It will average out, but in case of moving window averaging, we will have to select what will be the size of the moving window. That is important. These are the simulation parameter. We have taken the Rician channel, sampling time, transmission power, average path gain, Doppler shift, Doppler spectrum, that is noise, that is quantization, key reconciliation, and privacy amplification. Then now you can see that at Alice and Bob, and the more variations when it is unprocessed data, more variations are there for unprocessed data, but when we process it, the variations are reduced down. So that we were desiring to have less variations, zero variation, no zero, not a zero variation, less variation, so that to reduce BDR as well as, because further we can reduce the BDR in case of quantization and reconciliation stage, but we want randomness. So randomness is still there. So you can see that now, as earlier I discussed with the cross correlation and correlation, now we have measured the scattering of RSS values at Alice and Bob, and this is only at one end. The same result you will get at different SNRs for different window sizes when the SNR is 8 dB and the window size is 1. That means that means there is no averaging. So these are the scattering in the RSS samples value. For M size 10, the samples will be concentrated as the value of M is increased from 1 to 30. Now you can see the amount of scattering. Now as we increase SNR, the same impact you can see that. So we can select a particular value of SNR and we can select the particular value of M, so that we are getting few fluctuations, but with some randomness. So MWA, this is about MWA. So you can see the result. We have plotted the standard deviation for different values of SNRs. This is our main result, that you can see that we want to measure the bit disagreement rate. So this is the result between bit disagreement rate versus signal to noise ratio. Here you can see that by employing this pre-processing technique for M equal to 1, M equal to 20, and M equal to 25. So when it is 1, the bit disagreement is more. As we increase the value of M, bit disagreement reduces. But when we further increase the bit value of M, there is no much significant decrement in the value of bit disagreement. So therefore, we can select what we should take, because as we take more value of M, processing will be more at the communicating end. So we have to take that trade-off also. Similarly, this is first parameter, that was the bit disagreement rate. In improvement in bit disagreement, we are achieving. And secondly, that is the randomness test. We test it with the help of NIST test suite, and instead of 15 tests, we measured 7 tests, or we mentioned here 7 tests because NIST gives the value of all 15 tests. So we shown these 7 important tests, and we saw that The desired randomness is achieved with the help of this p-value by using this NIST test. That I have already. Now, suitability of this PLKG for power constrained network. Again, I will go back. You can see that the maximum performance improvement that we are getting in case of for low signal to noise region here, that can be suitable for WSN, that can be suitable for WLAN, that can be suitable for low power network. So we can say that this performance, the performance of this system will be good in case of power constrained network. So for future purpose, in PLKG itself, physical layer security is already low complex techniques than traditional cryptographic technique. One more addition you can do, you can calculate the computational complexity of algorithm, because this was our first work. So we did not calculate computational complexity. For in subsequent works, we have also calculated the computational complexity also. So you can calculate the computational complexity also. There is it is a special kind of security technique that is based on physical layer characteristics. There is a lot of scope of work by further reducing the complexity of PLKG. As I have shown you that pre-processing block, quantization block, key reconciliation block, you can work in each of the block of the system and you can modify this legacy PLKG system, as we have made the change by implementing that pre-processing block. So you can do that. I think I should stop here because this will be this will take another 30 minutes to discuss, but I can summarize it in the subsequent slides. I am discussing other physical layer techniques. This was the key based technique. Other are physical layer. These are the keyless techniques. That is simply all these techniques can be used. That is diversity. You can use multiple antennas. Multiple antennas can be used in different modes. Single input, multiple output, multiple input, single output, multi input, multi output. So we can use it in such a way that to enhance the secrecy capacity between the desired nodes. Similarly, artificial noise, we can inject the artificial noise in such a way that real user are aware of it while intruder is unaware. Intruder is unaware, so we can easily insert or inculcate more secrecy capacity between the legitimate pair. Similarly, beamforming, OFDMA is also used for multi-user diversity. In case of multi-user diversity, in general, OFDM is used where a complete, say, your WLAN data is transmitted using OFDM, but that may be used by one user only. But what can be done? Different users can use different subcarriers of OFDM. So based on channel condition, a subcarrier can be selected, a subcarrier which is giving good response from that channel, that can be selected. So in this way, we can achieve the secrecy, we can enhance the secrecy capacity between the legitimate pair. That means the subcarriers, the subchannels which are not performing well, that can be discarded, and we can select only those channels which are performing well. And in this way, we can enhance. That means these techniques we already using in our systems. So while using these techniques, we can achieve the secrecy also. So therefore, we can say instead of higher layer, high computationally complex techniques, we can use these techniques for achieving the secrecy. Similarly, cooperative communication. In case of cooperative communication, we can use the intermediate nodes such a way that the secrecy capacity between the legitimate pair increases. Spread spectrum is also used, coding technique and physical layer key generation that I have also used. So with the help, I will share you the paper from where I have taken, that is a survey paper, and simply by reading that paper, you can go through all these techniques. That is, the concept is simple, the implementation may be difficult. But beside this, I have also the slides prepared for the other applications of RSSI, because when I explored the RSSI pre-processing, how simple it is, how easily we can acquire it. Can other applications of RSSI pre-processing is possible? Yes, other applications are possible. And this future work that you will get from that paper. So other applications of RSSI pre-processing can be, I have seen one application, that is the localization of node. That means by acquiring the RSSI value, you can estimate the location of the node. So this RSSI pre-processing can also be used in localization of the node, and that can also be the part of security. That can also be the part of security. Similarly, another interesting application I have found, that is human activity recognition. If I have one my device, and if someone is observing the variations in RSS value, then he may guess something about the wrong activity. If he have some patterns stored in his computer and corresponding to each activity of the user, and by the capturing of some unknown or some unknown patterns in the received signal strength indication, then he may observe that something undesired is going on. So this is another important and interesting issue, that is human activity recognition, that is also based on RSSI pre-processing. And interestingly, I have seen that this RSSI pre-processing can be used. There are other applications also, like wireless channel identification can be done. Position and power adjustment of hardware components can be done. That means these papers are coming from the VLSI background. So here these are interesting to study, to show that that RSSI pre-processing may play very important role for other applications also, apart from physical layer key generation. So, and so this with the help of this, there is a lot of scope for research. And in recent past, you can see that in this field we have got a few good publications, which are SCI impact factor based journals, and few more are in review. And these are the references of my talk. I will upload few of the references on your portal, Atal portal, because what I have seen, the PPTs of the speakers are having more than 5 MB, and it is not allowing more than 5 MB. Even of Vyavahari sir, I tried to upload, but it is not allowing. So either we have to compress it, or we will send some related documents so you can go through it. So I will upload the papers, and if it is possible, then presentation also. So now you can ask the questions if you have any. Yes. Yes, Ankit.
Ma'am, as that RSS is the time series data, can we apply time series pre-processing, time series statistical tools like kurtosis and all for the processing of these signals to get some advantageous results?
Yes, I can think so. It can be applicable, and we should apply and see the performance of the system.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Very exhaustive and detailed analysis. Thank you very much on physical layer security. It was very interesting to see the experiments that you conducted at IIT. So the criteria for checking randomness was something new. Those 16 criteria I didn't know. And NIST has given so many, because I was just thinking first two of randomness.
Yes.
I have just few questions. One question is, so what is the length of the key that you use during experimentation? What was the key there?
Sir, it was 128 bit. Actually, final generated key depends on the length of the hash function. So there are various hash functions are available. For our purpose, that we took was 128 bit. So the length of the key was 128 bit. Other length is also possible. Yes, sir.
Okay. And second thing is, are there any standards that people are using, or it is at a research stage right now? I mean, are there devices or networks in which this type of key generation is?
No, sir, we did not find in practically used systems, but we found in research papers the experimentation based work and all these kind of works, because it is under, I think all people are working on this.
Yeah, I think because it takes a lot of time to make a standard, and
Maybe.
Once the standard is made, then only it will be viable for companies to put into some device, and so that the people use it.
But I think, sir, using other PLS technique, we can do that. That is simply the power control. We can increase the power in desired direction, and we can decrease the power in undesired direction. In this way, we can achieve the secrecy capacity. So that can be done with the without changing the standard, by adjusting the transmitting power, by adjusting the mode of number of multiple antennas, by adjusting the power allocation methods, by using the water filling algorithms. That can be done, I think.
I see. I see. No, I just want to know whether in some device they have put, like for the as the Samsung has put or Motorola has put or Nokia, but maybe probably it will take some time before they put onto the hardware itself.
Sir, we will explore if someone have used, and we are trying to completely make the hardware of it, because experimentally we have collected the data and we are trying to make the complete hardware of it.
Very good. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Yes, no other question?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Ha, Ravindra.
Yes, ma'am. Can we use a NIST test for other previously we discussed cryptographic systems?
I think so.
So can we use, ma'am? Okay.
होना ही चाहिए ना, होना ही चाहिए. मुझे लगता है कि जितने भी ये DES, AES, जितने भी ट्रेडिशनल क्रिप्टोग्राफिक एल्गोरिथम्स हैं, इनका सबका जो रैंडमनेस टेस्ट है, दैट इज बेस्ड ऑन NIST. NIST इज द स्टैंडर्ड tool used for randomness checking.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
So shall I?
हेलो मैम.
Yes, Sangeeta.
हाँ मैम, मैं ये पूछना चाह रही थी कि कैन वी अप्लाई RSS प्री प्रोसेसिंग फॉर ऑप्टिकल कम्युनिकेशन और WAN network, ma'am?
Yes, I was thinking about that. Now you explore that, because
Okay.
I was thinking that we can use it for the routing purpose, as in
Okay.
case of your work, because
Yes, ma'am.
every node is having that capability. Based on RSSI, you can make a routing algorithm that can be more. You can do the survivability analysis. So it is for you to explore this idea.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
But it can be done, I think.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So thank you so much for patient listening. I think other candidates, other participants would have understood what I think that I have given, or the candidates may have understood what the concept I have elaborated. And now we come to the end of the 4th day of this FDP. So tomorrow we meet at 10. And the first lecture is of Dr. Adarsh Kumar on cyber forensics, and the second lecture is of Tomar sir from RRCAT. So I think these 2 lectures will also be interesting one. So good evening and bye bye for today.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, bye.
Bye, sir.